All right. It's the Dani Cutler Show on independent radio, KWSS 93.9 FM, and streaming at kwss.org. And I'm so very, very excited. Those of you listening on 93.9 right now, you can catch the Zoom later on this morning if you want to see the whole interview. But those of you who are watching the Zoom right now, this lovely lady who I haven't seen in like 10, 15, 30 years, it feels like. The fabulous Amy Donohue is joining me now. Good morning, girl.
Good morning.
It is so good to see your face.
It is so good to see your face. It really is.
Seriously. I posted that little throwback thing online and I was like finding the most recent photo and I went back to 2018.
That's crazy, but that shows true friendship. Doesn't matter how often you see each other or talk to each other. Friends are friends, you know.
Oh, girl, we hit it off from the get-go back in 2007?
Yeah.
Because you were this is the thing. So for those of you who do not know, Amy is my OG radio sister. She was with KWSS before I started.
I'm pretty sure the first day that we went live, I was one of the DJs on the air that day. Because I remember Kevin Gassman and it was 4/20, 2005 or 2006.
That would be an appropriate date. Yes. So it was
4/20.
Yeah. So the station went on the air in 2005. I started in 2007.
Okay. Yeah. So it was 4/20, 2005. And at first I was afternoon drive time every day. And then I went to, for some reason, Tuesday nights. And then I went to Saturday nights, but I was there for 4 years.
Wow. Yeah. And I met you soon after that. And I remember it took a while before we met in person at a show. Yeah, it was then. And I remember we would talk and be like, we got to meet in person. We got to meet in person. And then finally we did. And it was just like, we were sisters the whole time.
Yes, we were.
Yeah. So here we are. And man, you know, your comedy show is amazing. I remember that you would go up to Frank's studio to do your show, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I did my show because he had a whole studio in his condo.
Still there.
Is it really? But I remember because it's a small room and it would get too hot sometimes. And he had air conditioning problems once and we had to cancel the show. And it was just, but it was great. It was so KWSS, you know, when we started and being small and locally owned and operated is a big deal to me. I'm locally owned.
That's right. I mean, me too. And we're still that way. And I think it's one of the things, I mean, I'm definitely most proud of with this station is that we're still, I mean, shoot, we'll take any sponsor because we need money to keep going. Yeah. So, you know, no issues with that. But just to be able to support the community that we've been able to this is our 16th year now. And I mean, it's insane, right?
Yeah, and my show was showcasing all local bands and artists. So we've kind of stuck to the same theme, especially you and I, as in promoting local bands. And I think that that's so important because, I mean, it's music and it's crucial to getting through life, especially at a time like this. Like when you're home alone all day, turning on the radio and dancing around can turn your day around. It's
true. And to be able to connect with the DJs that are talking to you and talking about the things that you're actually interested in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, just to touch on it briefly before we get into the book, how has the pandemic been for you personally? You doing good? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I got a call as soon as quarantine happened to stay home because I have one kidney and most of these viruses, that's the first organ that they will attack.
Really?
So with one kidney, I'm still home. Like I go out to the grocery store and I've been out to eat once or twice, but I got home with a stomach bug after my first time out because, you know, when you're home so much, your immune system for everything else is shot. So I have my vaccine. I'm excited to get the booster shot, but I have had to be extra careful and just really take care of myself because I also have to do it for Tiny Mom. You know, I have to be here for her. So I've been very cautious, but I'm glad that we're able to do a lot more now than we could a year ago.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I was really happy when I read this week about all the venues now that are requiring either proof of vax or
Yep.
a negative test. And I'm just like, thank you, because I mean, thankfully I'm very healthy and I don't have these extra health issues to worry about. I'm not compromised in any way, but still would rather not catch it. So, or spread it. So yeah. Right. So
yeah, I would be devastated to know I spread it. Like if I didn't know I was carrying it, that's the part for me that's the most scariest, is you just don't know. And I don't want to talk too much about
no, COVID. I get it. I get it. We don't have to go down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, and I'm really glad that you touched on the fact that you do have one kidney, because that makes an easy transition into a story that I have followed since the beginning. Yep. Which was how many years ago now?
2011. It was January 2011 when I
10 years.
Tweet.
10 years.
Just had our 10-year kidney anniversary.
That's right. 10-year kidney anniversary. And so Amy just released a book that she didn't know she was going to write until you like were told that maybe you should write this down.
Yeah.
And it is called Social Media Stole My Kidney, a story about a girl who donated a kidney because of a tweet. Now you love Twitter. Twitter is your top place to be.
I love Twitter.
And I agree. It is, of all the social media sites, it is definitely the top. So tell us, how did Twitter play a part in you going, I'm going to donate a kidney?
Honestly, I was following a woman who I knew. We were all in the same circle, because it all starts with Yelp and that restaurant scene that I was involved. I think that's another connection that you and I had.
Good old Yelp.
Good old Yelp. It was so much fun back then.
Yes.
And Twitter was very community oriented at that time. So everybody followed each other. And I just remember seeing this conversation. Oh, mom finally agreed to go on the transplant list. And I just saw the conversation. I just said, I'll do it. I'll donate my kidney. What do I have to do? And it was a Friday night. I was about to get into the bathtub. And so I just said, I tweeted that, and she sent me a DM, and I said, give me an hour. I'm going to take a bath. And I got out of the tub. I went to my computer, did a quick Google search, and not a lot of negative stuff showed up. So I shut my laptop down, and she said, well, it's Friday night, so we can't really talk to the doctors. We'll talk to mom's team on Monday, and we'll let you know how to proceed. And so that's how it started. It started just to make sure our blood types were compatible. They don't always have to be a match, but they have to be compatible. Mm-hmm. And that's how it started.
So what, if you can remember how you felt at the time? I mean, it would seem pretty instantaneous that you were like, okay, let's do it. What drove you to just suddenly say, okay, I'm going to do this without even really thinking about it?
Nothing. Like, I literally just saw it and said, all right, I'll do it. But my father died of cancer, and I couldn't help him at all. So that ended up being the driving force. Because that night I just blurted it out. I did not think, I mean, it was within seconds of them tweeting that I saw it. Mm-hmm. So going forward, it was, she's got one mom. I don't have a dad. There was nothing I could do for him. What can I do for her? Give her a kidney.
It's amazing. I mean, that's the story every time. And I've heard this story many times.
I still get choked up. Like, I'm really holding back right now, because I still get choked up, because it was life-changing. Like, having a child, I've never had a child. Those are things that change your life. This was my baby.
Right.
And so, yeah, it really changed.
Did everything. You, over the course, like, so we'll say you had your bath and you started Googling, did you ever find yourself second guessing yourself, thinking, should I do this?
Never. I never second guess myself anyway.
That's true. I've known you long enough. You're just like, we're doing this now. Screw it. Here we go.
And I bring friends.
Yes. And you're like, who else is in? Well, bring in friends, and you make friends too, because I mean, now you have Tiny Mom.
Yes.
And, and you're connected the bond is forever now
Yep.
with her. But you have also inspired others to do this. Now, not just myself, I've interviewed about you about this, but also Beef Vegan has had you on the show to talk about this too. Tell us what
Yeah.
happened in that interview.
Oh my God. So this had to be like maybe 8 years ago. And Beef would always have me on because he didn't live too far from me.
Right.
So I was on the morning show quite a bit
Yeah.
for a while. And I told the story. And like a week or two later, Beef forwards me this email that he got from a man who had been listening while he was taking his daughter to work that morning. And I can't remember, in the email, he said, I don't usually listen to the radio, or something different happened that day to him for him to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
And he donated his kidney to a stranger.
Wow.
Like immediately after my appearance.
It's amazing.
And to think that Beef Vegan helped save a life.
Don't give him all the credit. You were on the show. We can't give him that much credit.
But it was so cool to have it as a KWSS brother to help implement and to make something so powerful to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
No, I think that's fantastic. And, and just what it sparked along the way, you informing people about it and going back to the book, it's not just your straight story about what happened to you. You're also using this book as a reference guide for people, correct?
Yes. And I kind of went through some crap. I lost my job 2 weeks before the surgery because I missed my sales goal. Mm-hmm. The months that I was leading up to doing the testing and everything, which is fine. I take full responsibility for that. But the next day, a Twitter follower said, hey, we've been following your story forever. We're really angry at what happened. We need a social media person. Let's talk when you're done. And I was like, no, I have nothing to do for 2 weeks before this surgery. Let's start now. And I had no idea how the recovery would be, which we'll get to. But yeah, it was just crazy how things just fell into place to put me where I am today. But I lost the job. I got hired, lost a ton of friends, of course, because they said that I was doing it for attention. Which was just awful. It was so crappy. And it was comedians who I knew for years, and getting negative messages on Facebook from high school friends. Don't do this. You're going to die. And I just thought, you people don't know anything about this. And then I realized nobody knows anything about this because nobody talks about it. We don't hear about kidneys aren't sexy like cancer. We don't talk about it in that way. Right. Even though there are right now 150,000 people on a wait list for a 3-ounce organ as big as your fist.
Wow. So did you use the book to explain to people like the process you go through?
Yeah. And what I did was I wrote about the testing. The emotional part of it was really intense as well. But I also added in what I went through for the testing, but also the recovery. And I made like a resource list, what to pack, because I hadn't been in a hospital in decades when I did this. And so I don't know how to pack for a hospital. Yeah. Well, now people can. Like lip balm is one of the most important things to have in the hospital, and face wipes, because if you're bed bound, and you just get so dry in the hospital. But I also blogged the entire process. So at the end of the book, I copy pasted word for word, and some of it's pretty intense and angry. I copied word for word from my blog to the book because, as you know me, I have always been transparent, and I am always trying to break the stigma. I'm in cannabis now. I'm still trying to break through the stigma of cannabis. Yeah. So the stigma of live organ donation has always been there. Don't do it. You're going to die. So I wanted this to be as informative as possible because I have about 6 or 7 friends who have donated throughout the years, just from learning from me and the other donors out there who are educating people, because education is key.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And you can live with 1 kidney.
I'm living.
Obviously. Case in point, it isn't going to kill you.
Nope. Nope.
I can't believe that anybody, honestly, to go back to the attention thing. So what? is kind of my thought on that. It's like, of course you're not doing it for attention, but even if you were, look at what you're doing. Fine. Do it for attention. Donate that kidney.
Yeah. And I mean, as a performer, of course you want attention, but for this, it was very grueling for me because the Today Show came out twice. Mm-hmm. Every TV station was at my house to interview me. And all I wanted was for the surgery to happen. I wanted this woman to feel better. Yeah. I didn't need to have all this attention on the way, but I had to do it to educate people. Right. So it was like a double-edged sword. And whatever, I did a good thing. And if you think I did that for attention.
Well, and to flip it, it's not about getting the attention. It's using the status that we have. You know, it's like, yeah, it's not, I mean, we are personalities. I'm a personality. Yeah. You're a personality. And we have that following and we have those people. So it's not about wanting more attention. It's about how do we use the status we know we have to do good and to inform people and let them know what's going on. I mean, that was all of 2020 for me. How do I use my radio show to keep people informed, to keep them entertained, to keep them okay, and to keep supporting the local music community that was completely shut down? You know, it's like, it's that kind of thing. It's like, so you have to flip it. It's not about attention. It's admitting that, yeah, I have some attention and that's okay. It just, it's what it is. But how do you use it to help people?
Right. And I didn't enjoy it. That's the thing is like, at the end of the day, I was exhausted.
It's got to be taxing. Yes.
It was awful. I would have Jada, my friend Jada, come upstairs because we've always lived in the same neighborhoods. And I would be like, hey, Channel 5 was here today. You mind coming up to watch with me? Because I had to watch it because then I would get all the tweets and all the everything else. So to have friends like you guys that I could always just say, I need help with this. I need help with that. Was what got me through it. Because like I said, I did lose a lot of friends over it. And it's just, you know, people's own self-esteem.
It is.
Becomes apparent when they see something like that. And maybe they wouldn't be able to do it. I think everybody could with a little bit of, you know, nudging and some education.
Well, if they're jealous about it, well, then donate.
Go do it. Yeah.
Go do it. I mean, if you're just projecting, then if you want some attention, hey, this is how you can do it.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it.
You're trying to help people in all kinds of ways.
Right. And all I felt was like, whatever. I just want to save Tiny Mom. I just want to save Tiny Mom. Like that's what got me through every single night.
Exactly. So give us a couple of those tips for people who might be thinking of donating. Maybe they're listening now and going, hey, is it really that simple? What did you have to do first?
Well, because it was directed, meaning I knew the recipient and I volunteered to be with them. She was on the list, so it made my job easier because all she had to do was take the team. But for anybody listening, really all you need to do is contact a local transplant center and say, hey, I've been looking into donating a kidney. What's the process? I'd like to at least get started to learn if I'm able to. And if you don't know anybody, you can say, I just want to help somebody. You go through rigorous testing. I had 2 mammograms. Your whole body gets tested because the donor cannot be sick. Right. You do no harm to the donor. You don't want to, if I had bad kidneys, they wouldn't have taken my kidney. It would have been stupid for me and stupid for her. $1 million surgery to fail in a year's time or whatever. Right. So you need to be healthy. And I have so many friends who are not, who want to, and I give them other things to do, like help spread the word or whatever. But contact a local transplant center or talk to your doctor on your next visit. Say, hey, I've been thinking about doing this. What do you think? It's everybody's choice, and it's a huge decision, of course. Yeah. But I had no complications. I was out in 48 hours. So let's get back to what you have to do, because we could get off track forever. But yeah, you want to contact a transplant center. If it's a friend or a loved one, you would speak with their person or their transplant center and go from there. Yeah. If you're not a match, I also included that. there are things called paired exchanges and donation chains. So a paired exchange would be like, your husband needs a kidney. He has B positive blood. You have A positive blood, so there's no way to do it, but my mom has A positive blood and needs a kidney. I donate to your husband, you donate to my mom. That's a paired exchange.
Nice.
Chains, though, there are chains that are over 60 people, meaning one transplant center has B positive person. By the way, my blood type is B positive. It's very rare in the United States. So she would not have lived if I had not seen that tweet.
Wow.
And that's the short of it. She would not have lived because finding that. But the chains could be someone in Minneapolis is going to donate to someone in Colorado, who's going to donate to someone in Utah, who donates to someone in Utah. Like, these chains they're planes around the country right now with little coolers in them handling these transplant chains. And it's so fascinating. But if one person gets sick or something happens, the whole chain fails.
Wow.
So it's a very delicate process, but it is so cool to know that you can have 60 some people involved with kidney donations.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That is very incredible. And how long is the surgery? How long is the process? 8 hours, 12 hours?
90 minutes.
Really?
Yep. So they take it out on me. Science has evolved a little bit now that they take it right out your belly button, which is already a scar. So you don't have to deal with a kidney scar. But for me, what they did is they took it out where you would have a C-section. So I have about a 3-inch scar down there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a couple laparoscopy scars, but what they do is they slice you open, they pump you full of gas, they reach in, grab the kidney, and they sew you back up. And the only thing I had to be careful of was lifting more than 15 pounds for 90 days because of a hernia.
Yeah.
Because they go in through your ab muscles. My surgery was on Tuesday, April 19th, 2011, and I was home that Thursday, and I was working on Friday.
There you go.
And that was for Smart Wrap. Remember Smart Wrap?
That's right.
Those were the people who hired me. It was Smart Wrap and Yachty bed liners.
Mm-hmm. I do remember.
Yeah, he came over Friday, brought me flowers or something, and I was at my desk working.
That's pretty awesome. So for you, the recovery time, is that average for the recovery time being that quick, or it just depends on the people, I imagine?
Well, it does depend on the person, but I knew, and I learned in the hospital, the more you get up and walk, the faster you heal. And that's with everything in life.
Yeah.
Like, you have a hip replacement, you got to get up and walk around. So it's something that they had me walking around within hours so that I could go home within 48 hours. And my friends would come over and take me for walks all the time. I was I wasn't a drinker, pretty conscious of the food that I put in my mouth. So that helps too. Mm-hmm. But everybody is different. Anybody can have complications from it. It does happen. Yeah. But for the most part,
it's a major medical procedure. So
yeah. Yeah. But for the most part, the people I know who have donated have come out unscathed as far as kidney issues.
That's good. So what do you want people who read this book, what do you want their takeaway to be after they read it?
To talk about kidneys. I just want everyone talking about kidneys. Tell somebody because it is a silent killer. You don't know that you have kidney failure until it's too late. I can say that her kidney failure was from ibuprofen.
Oh, wow.
She was hospitalized for a migraine and was given ibuprofen throughout her hospital stay, and it killed her kidneys. It is not a safe drug. People think that because it's at Walgreens and CVS and it's over the counter that it's okay to take all the time, and it is not. And you can read about it online everywhere. But I was not a heavy ibuprofen user, so that helped me as well. So there are some things like I don't take any NSAIDs at all. I am not going to risk my super kidney.
Let me tell you, I was a big ibuprofen taker for a long time, and you know what helped me? It's right behind you. Reefer, cannabis. That is what has helped me. And not even just like THC, CBD has helped my pain and headaches and anxiety and everything immensely, more than any over-the-counter drug or prescription drug probably could.
It's true. And cannabis has been part of my life since the 80s. My parents used to grow, and we had plants in the backyard. And I started smoking pot before I started drinking. So I was maybe 15 or 16 and started smoking. When I did quit drinking, I quit everything for several years, but it was because of my kidney donation that I researched cannabis and got my medical marijuana card. I've been a patient since the beginning, since the first dispensaries opened in 2013. I've been working in the industry since then as well. So cannabis helps me with pain. I was a cheerleader, I was a power lifter, and a gymnast.
Wow.
I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So I beat on my body in the 70s and 80s. And cannabis is magical. And I wish that everybody would put aside the war on drugs stigma that we grew up with as Gen Xers and be smart about it and educate yourself about it. Don't listen to what other people say, unless it's me or Dani.
We know
there's so much information out there, but it was the kidney that got me to where I am today, as far as working in the cannabis industry and being an activist and educator in cannabis, and just trying so hard, because I still have friends who drink a lot. That's not necessary. When you hit 50, you can't be doing that anymore. It will bite you in your ass. I lost my grandmother and my father. Neither one hit 60 because of their drinking. Wow. And it is not healthy. But we grew up in a culture that said, if you have a can of Budweiser in your hand, you'll get the pretty girl in the hot tub. It's not the way it is. But it was ingrained in our brains growing up.
Absolutely. And of course, marijuana has always been a bad thing, evil, from the get-go.
This is from the 1930s.
Yep. And then Nancy Reagan did not help.
No. So. Nancy Reagan and Tipper Gore. That's who we grew up with. Bad weed and bad music.
Yep, exactly. So but I'm really glad that marijuana has come as far as it has.
Yes.
In the past decade.
It will be by 2024 in the United States a $43 billion industry. Yeah. There's a reason for it. It's growing because people want a healthier alternative. They want to try things that aren't going to damage their bodies. There's so many ways to treat yourself. I like smoking pot. So I smoke, I do edibles at night, or if it's a day with heavy pain. There are so many ways out there to medicate yourself for you.
Yep.
And just to know, though, that it's a million times safer than anything your doctor is going to give you. But again, we want a pill for everything. Yeah. And those pills don't help.
Exactly. Or you just become addicted to it. And
and then they don't work anymore.
Exactly.
And then you die.
Yeah. So social media stole my kidney. How can everybody get their hands on a copy of this?
It's on Amazon.
Yay. I will link to everything, of course.
Yeah, it's on Amazon and Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free, of course. It's $2.99 on Kindle, which is the lowest I could go, because I really of course, I'm making some money on this, but I'm also using that to buy copies to donate to transplant and dialysis centers, because I also want potential recipients to understand what we go through as donors.
Yeah.
Because it is really hard to ask for an organ from someone, like, hey, can I have your organ?
Yeah.
If potential recipients could hear what it was like, that might ease their minds in trying to pursue a living donor as well. So yeah, it's on Amazon. Social Media Stole My Kidney as a book as well. And I don't know, I just published it last week. I need to find other places. I don't know what ownership Amazon also has, because I went through the self-publishing, but they made it really easy for me to do. And it was completely free for me to do, which is also great, because again, I just want the word out there.
Yeah.
I just want people to do what I did and to talk about live organ donation.
Great, man. I'm feeling inspired. I might have to look into this a little bit now, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get somebody who's listening. That would be cool to do that again. Like every time you're on KWSS, someone donates a kidney.
And when I do know of people that are donating, I go to the hospital during the surgery to sit with the families
Aw,
because I want them to feel good. And it just feels better having an experienced person there, like
yeah.
in everything in life. It always feels good to have someone with you. So I've sat in a lot of waiting rooms the past 10 years helping others go through the same thing.
That's okay. Do you know any of this question just popped into my head because now we are in pandemic times with COVID. Have you heard of anything in the procedures changing because of new hospital guidelines or anything like that with how people could donate or anything? Just if you haven't,
I
it's cool.
really don't. I
Okay.
really don't know. And every transplant center is different.
Yeah.
There's no governance, there's no national anything,
Right.
which
Yeah.
I think we should have.
So it would just be check with as you're going through the process, make sure you know all of the details, especially
Yeah.
because it's a lot easier for people to get sick now, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, it really
So,
is.
yeah,
Get vaccinated and then you don't have to be as worried about anything bad happening.
right.
Hospitals are pretty clean, and the places where you would get a transplant is not where there are COVID patients. So it
Mm,
is completely different, and it's the healthcare field.
yeah,
We want to trust that most of them are vaccinated and taking the right precautions, but they've always worn masks anyway. So it's a
exactly.
pretty safe procedure, but you got to ask the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if right now would be the best time to do it, but there are people dying right now
Well, it's
needing it.
also a process. So, you can throw your hat or throw your organs in the ring and and because it's not like the chances of you getting a call like the next day are probably, I mean, who knows? You have to go through the
Yeah,
tests. So, now would be a good time to get the process started, I would
I
think.
think it would, because
Anytime, yeah.
yeah, I think if you find it safe and you get to a place that you feel comfortable as far as a transplant center, then by all means start getting the testing process. And if you're not able to, you can still spread the word. You can still
Exactly.
be an advocate for live organ donation.
That's right. That's why I've got your lovely face here today.
I got to
And
take a picture real quick
I
to tweet
know
out.
we will. But let me wrap it up here because I got to get on the radio front, get people back to listening to music. But Amy, thank you so much. It was
Thank
great
you.
to see you, and I always love hearing your story, and it's so very important. And I'm here for you as an
Yes.
advocate and spreading the word any way I can. And eventually, we'll be in person again, and I can hug you.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
It'll happen. I'm vaxxed too, but maybe after the booster, maybe we'll give ourselves a booster first and then.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.